That's the road department doing that. They're not
I
going to do
mean,
it.
they won't take our money.
What's the issue?
They won't let us pay. Robert,
Thing
that's
where the pre-construction
nothing,
period,
you
you
know.
got 60 days. There's no charge
We're going to table it. We're going to read it for
I
you.
just as soon table it.
after the 60
They're not ready to begin out there anyway.
They get to schedule the fees for people's time, and it could be 85%.
Does that kill it, or does that say come back next
We'll
year?
let you come back next month.
Table it or send it to the person?
How you doing, Mr. Wiley?
We don't know. We're all acting
Do a
tonight.
motion.
Oh, you talking about here?
Are we all in our
We're
chairs?
all-
We all
It's going
ready?
to get rough here in a little bit.
What's it gonna be?
All right, if I can have your attention, we will call the October meeting of the Russellville City Council to order. Our invocation tonight, I want to introduce you to Tony Griffin, the new senior pastor at First United Methodist Church. He'll do our invocation. We'll follow that with a pledge to the flag. So if you would all please rise.
We thank you, creative God, for those whose work sustains our nation and this community in which we live, for all who create the wealth by which we trade, for those who grow and provide our food, or those who are in industry or commerce or transport bring it to our homes and help to sustain the lives we live. We thank you for those who by day and night maintain the public services for the police, for those who respond to emergencies, and those who work in health or healing or social care. And Lord, we thank you for this body, for this council that works for the betterment of this community, and we thank you for the leadership of Mayor Horton. We pray that you bless them and guide them and give them the wisdom that they need to sustain our lives and better our lives here in Russellville. Teach us, Lord, to remember that all our lives depend upon the work of many minds and hands, and we pray that we may live thankfully and in unity as members of one human family. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Pastor, thank you, and welcome to Russellville. We are ready, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Caruth? Here. Mr. Straight?
Here.
Mr. Sims?
Here.
Ms. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Wiley?
Here.
Mr. Tripp?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Westcott?
Here.
Thank you.
We have a quorum. Approval of minutes.
Motion.
Second. Ms. Harris, did you have a question on them earlier?
I did, but I talked to Miss Taylor and she made sure we had them. But
Okay.
I believe at last month's meeting, we actually approved and passed the minutes from the Planning Commission.
Okay.
But
That's what was
she-
in our packet.
Right, and so she reprinted them, so we have two sets of minutes that I think need to be definitely,
Pass them all.
did you pass it? You passed it? Yeah, pass them all.
All right. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That'll bring us to the finance report with Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance report for September. General fund revenues were $1,276,309, with a 10.48% above our projections. Tax receipts were $782,524. Franchise fees and permits were $357,100. Our city and county sales tax analysis. In 2017, the city received $2,982,000. 18, we received $3,214,000. On the county tax, we received $3,363,000 in 17. We've received $3,661,000 in 18. That's a $530,000 increase at 8.36%. On our budget to analysis, the budget for the city tax was $2,976,000 through September. We actually received $3,214,000. County budget was $3,412,000. Actually received $3,661,000. Total expenditures for the general fund, $838,409, 0.55% above our projections. Year-to-date, we received $1,127,799 more receipted than expended. At this time, I'd like to ask the council's permission to take $200,000 of that and move it over to our reserve that we have $1.1 million in right now.
I make a motion we do that. That's
Thank
what
you.
it is.
Second.
All right, so we got a motion to move $200,000 of this excess into our reserve. I think we've all talked about that several times over the past, so we got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jerry. Move
Thank
that
you.
money over.
Street fund operations revenues were $143,296. That's a 5.53% below projections, but again, we're just now going to receive our property tax, which will bring that number up into the plus side. Sales tax receipts were $557,925. Half-cent road tax for $55,524. Street fund operations expenditures are $107,035 for September, 13.58% below our projections. Sales tax improvements, $111,312 for drainage in Glenwood. Capital, we spent $99,250 on an excavator. Economic development revenues were $46,129. $44,109 was the new sales tax. $2,020 in interest. Expenditures were $6,174 for the Valley Alliance. Our economic development funds, as of 9/30, the 203 fund has $1,466,000 in it. The 07 fund has $1,368,000. The new fund 214 has $476,000. Capital assets, there's $104,301 receipts for September, $88,217 is new sales tax, $15,487 was for parks, and we had $597 in interest. The expenditures were $149,027, went to City Corp, Building Fund, and the fire station. Have any questions?
I do. I do. Back up under general fund, the franchise fees and the permit revenues, that $357,000, has it grown to that amount, and what is in that amount?
That's just what we received for the month of September.
I know, but it seems like it used to be 100,000 or something.
Well, it depends on when you get it, because what happens is on that one, we received the energy fund, which is quarterly paid at 300 and something thousand a quarter.
Okay,
Normally, it's just like 150 or 90,000.
that's why I was asking, did we have
Yes.
something really big that came in?
No, that's what it is, energy.
Okay, any other questions? Do I hear a motion to accept the finance report? Motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Westcott, second, was that Wiley? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, for the mayor's report, council, your departments all operated just normal operations. They all are squeezing the budget to get to the end of the year without any more expense, and that's part of what was reflected in Jerry's report. I think you're all going to be pleased next week when we start talking about the budget and what we've done so far this year. But with that, I thought I would yield some of my time to Mr. Paul Harville from the Alliance and the Chamber. He's got some exciting stuff to tell us about.
I wish you hadn't used the word exciting stuff to tell you about, but I think it's exciting. I'm going to try to do this very quickly, but I want to tell you about some things I think are very, very important for this city. And one thing I want to pass out, all of you can have one. Leadership Russellville this year has 40 people in it. It's the largest class ever. Last year was 29, which was the largest class ever. The year before that was 8. And then all of our class went from 8, 9, 10, 11, 8, 7, whatever. So this is very important. When I pass it out, I want to tell you how important I think it is. A lot of you have heard me say this. When the Little Rock Chamber offered me their job to go to Little Rock and run it, I said I will if I could start something called Leadership Little Rock. And they said, I thought you were going to want more money. And I said, no, I want to start it. We started today. There are 1,400 alumni of Leadership Little Rock. When I went to the state chamber, before I went, I said, I will go if I can start something called Leadership Arkansas. Today, there are about 700 alumni in Leadership Arkansas. I believe in these programs. Their own city boards. They run for office. They participate in the community. They get involved in the community. And one of these days, you're going to see these people really and truly make a difference in Russellville. I'm just going to pass this down, and then I'll get to my other little subjects. I want to mention something that you don't really know about called competitive communities. Competitive communities is what the governor asked all of us to do 6 months ago, and it's a lot of work. We've been working on it just almost continuously, reports we have to do, things we have to file, everything we have to put together, and et cetera. We're almost done. One of those things is what you call a certified site. I want to tell you there are only 3 certified sites in Arkansas. Little Rock has one, Newport has one, and today Russellville has one. What does that mean? That means you're going to have a lot more traffic driven to it, and et cetera. And that's a part of the things we were doing in this competitive communities. Very difficult to put everything together to get a site certified like they want it certified, but we got it together, we put it together, and we had a little press conference that some of you were at yesterday on that. So that's important to us. The other things in competitive communities that we're working on you need to know about. One is on a strategic plan. We had a strategic plan that was up in 2016. I'm redoing that now, and I'm redoing it from everything that everyone has been telling me, university's been telling me, all of you have been telling me. As you know, I came here in the fall of 2015 and talked to a lot of people, made a lot of notes. Then when I came back to start working here, I talked to a lot of people and made a lot of notes. So when you see this strategic plan, it's not just what I put on a piece of paper, it's what I've heard from you, what I've heard from other communities, and some of the things that I think we should do too. But you're going to get a copy of that, and it's all going to be available for you on the 2nd of November. We will have it. They not demanded, they wanted us to have this plan before we did it. I was at the AEDC today. I went over the work on the plan, what I was doing, and they said, keep going in this direction and you're going to be in good shape. That's one thing we have to do. Another thing we have to do is this, our website. I always knew our website was not what it should be, and we've been involved in that. We've done some funding on that. We've done budgeting on that. And you're going to have a website that's going to be totally finished in 2 months, and AEDC wanted that. The one that we had did not fit their criteria, and I knew that. I saw no need in spending a lot of money on a website until we did it the way we wanted to do it, and we should do it for Russellville. And that's what we're doing. I think you'll be pleased with it. I went over that website with AEDC. I showed them the contract that we had and gave them the time frame when it would be ready, and they're probably going to accept the website design and everything in that. Another thing that we had fell short in when we first sent it in was our wage surveys. Wage surveys are not easy to get, but also our existing industry that we visit with all the time wanted one. So we put one together, we put the model together and everything else and sent it out, and we knew that AEDC would approve this, and we had a tremendous response from our manufacturers and our employers, like Arkansas Tech, like the hospital, like ConAgra. On down the line with everyone that responded back on that wage survey. They said it's going to be very beneficial to us. It'll help them in employment and et cetera. It takes a long time to do this kind of work, but we've done it. We did the survey instrument works, et cetera. That's a part of what you do in competitive communities. Any of you that want that, you're welcome to it. We'll be totally through with it, I think, next week, because we gave them a deadline on getting the information in, but there's a lot of good information in that. Now, why do they want it? If someone new is coming in, or if an existing industry that we're competing against is coming in, they need that information, so we have it. But the strategic plan, I'm really excited about it. It's going to include a lot of discussions that we've had on retail. It will include also leadership. Now, why is leadership involved in economic development? It's important for economic development. You'll see how that fits into an overall plan on economic development, and I think that you will like it. Now, when we passed the plan, I want you to do this. Look at it, and when you look at it, if you got thoughts, let me know. But I also want to tell you, the largest chamber in the United States is the Oklahoma City Chamber. Their annual budget is $17 million a year. They have over 100 employees. And if I had the 100 employees and the $17 million a year, I could not do everything that you want to do and my board wants to do and the Alliance board wants to do. So we can't do everything. But we are going to have a plan in which we're going to be doing, because we have all kinds of ideas. Like, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? It's called people, it's called money. But I wanted to go over that and mention that to you. Another thing that we are doing, our chamber has never been an accredited chamber. I think our chamber, we've been working on that all year. I think our chamber will be an accredited chamber. In fact, I know it's going to be by the end of the year. Now, there's only 5 accredited chambers and 6 accredited chambers in Arkansas. And we will make that, and we'll be accredited, and that's going to be important to us in what we're doing. Now, I know you're interested in retail. I want to tell you what we do in retail. Our primary objective in retail is one thing, and that's called payrolls. No matter what you do, payrolls are first. And one of the things in the last 14 months, and I can't give you the name of the companies, you've read about one of them quite a bit in the paper that's expanding, but the companies we've talked to, the companies we've visited with, and everything else, in the last 14 months, right at 320 jobs have been added to this community with an average rate of $22 an hour. That is a pretty good retail program right there, because we're increasing payrolls, and that's what we will do. The other thing on retail is going very simply this, that I told you last time. We're going to be going to these retail shows, International Council Shopping Centers. We'll be going to Fort Worth the second week of January. It's going to be cold. The second week of January to their show in Fort Worth. Be going back to Las Vegas. New York has one. I will not be going to New York. I went to New York, as I told you before, last year. There's no need to ever go into New York. There's nothing there that we can find out about. But we see them, we contact them, we visit with them. A lot of interest of lately because of Kmart. We've known about Kmart for some time. And everyone's known about that for some time. That's no secret to any of us. And I would like to say this about that. As early as 2 weeks ago, I don't know where it's going to go, but we had someone that's very interested, not in that building, but very interested in some people that he thinks may fit in that building. And that person's from Arkansas. I'm going to concentrate on the developers in Little Rock. They're close to us. We're going to concentrate on these trade shows, and we're going to concentrate on what we have. Now, what we have, how's that going to work? The chamber is going to be doing this. I want the chamber, and they've already started. We've got a lot of research on this. I want them to go to every retailer we have now and talk to them about their growth, what they're doing, what they need to do better. Because, first of all, let's see what we're doing with our own. The other thing we'll be doing is things like the Dixie Cafe building. I took that drawing to Las Vegas. I gave it to some people, and we passed it out. We will do this with all of our buildings that we have, and one of the things we're going to be doing now is taking every vacant building that we have and that will work for retail and put together just a retail inventory of available space. And that available space, we will be passing that out to different people to look at. I really believe that some of our best prospects are going to come out of Little Rock. Short story, and I'll shut up in a moment, real quick. Coming back from Las Vegas last time, I was emailing someone with Flake and Kelly in Little Rock. And they were asking about the space right beside Harbor Freight, or I go to it, they gave his name. So I was emailing information to them for an hour. We landed in Little Rock, and the person I was emailing was sitting in the chair right behind me on the airplane. And I got up and introduced myself, and I said, I had no idea. I didn't know what she looked like. But she was sitting by a person with Flake and Kelly that I knew, and she said, I didn't know you were sitting in front of me sending this. I said, well, we should have sat together. We saved a lot of time. But that's a good place to go, a good start to go with something developed. They will send 100 people a year to Las Vegas to that show. And they don't send them out there unless they think they can make money off of it. Now, that is going to be our approach. I cannot give you any guarantees about anything, but that's our approach, and that's what we're going to be doing, and et cetera. I got a call, a month ago, from someone, talking about the old National Home Center building. and the old, which was at one time a Walmart. They asked me about that. They were telling me all about it. I said, you need to know this. I said, I walked through it 3 months ago. So we know what we have there. We know what's available. Are we going to be successful? We don't know, but I will say this, we will try. We will do everything we can to do it. Now, my last thing is this. How are we advertising? A lot of you have seen this, but I want to pass it out to you again. Now, this is our bid report of the Alliance. You'll see our ads in the back that we're running. Also, a lot of you have seen what I'm going to pass down. I know the mayor, you've seen it. Freddie, I know you've seen it. And this is the manufacturer's director in Arkansas. It's all about quality of life. Everything you do is about quality of life. Every potential manufacturer and every manufacturer is going to expand. They're in this book. On the back page, you will find Russellville right there. We don't have much money, but we spend time on placing it where it'll give us the best results. I'll pass this down. You can look at it. You can have it. Now, the last one that a lot of you know about is this. This is a national publication. It looks like it's a statewide, but it's not. It's a site selection national publication that the governor wanted to do with just Arkansas. They wanted to make this whole thing around quality of place. Those of you that haven't seen it, this is Mike Preston that runs the AEDC. This is our ad. And that is an economic development ad, and that's the future ads that we have. I'm going to pass this down. You can have this magazine too. Now, I'm through talking. Anybody got a question? Good.
No questions for Mr. Harville?
Just a thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the direction is going right. Wouldn't you agree, Ms. Harris?
I do.
All right, so the next order of business on the mayor's report, we've been asked for, the Russellville Housing Authority has come up with a vacancy on their board, and they nominate the replacement to fill that, and it's up to the council to confirm that. They notified us yesterday, I believe, that they're nominating Mr. Scott Stuber to fill that vacancy.
Make a motion to approve.
We got a motion to approve from Mr. Tripp.
Second.
A second from Ms. Caruth. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, Mr. Stuber's approved. Now, Ms. Warwick, would you meet me at that podium, please? Okay, so y'all have gotten used to seeing us every quarter come in and recognize one of our city employees for exceeding expectations, going above and beyond. The person we're going to recognize this month actually was nominated by two different people. Stephanie was one of them. I'm going to let you explain your nomination and what went behind it.
Well, what I'd like to do, Mayor, is just read a little bit of what my nomination had said about this individual, if that's... Exceeding expectations. We have all heard the cliches about how a person comes sweeping in and just brings sunshine with them, right? Well, in this case, it's not a cliche. This employee has brought more than sunshine to City Hall and to all of Russellville. This employee has brought a feeling of belonging and appreciation, a feeling of pride in working for the city. This is an individual who possesses good moral character, a hard work ethic, a smart work ethic. This exceptional employee is a caring individual and sees to it that everyone feels appreciated and needed. If there is a need, this person does all within her power to provide and fulfill that need. She tends to the needs of many and has been able to ascertain the needs before they even arise. This person has comforted those who have had a loss and cheered those who have had a win. This employee makes it a point to celebrate employee birthdays, anniversaries, and makes you feel the love of family. This employee has championed for all the city employees, both privately and publicly. She has stood before City Council to speak on behalf of other employees of the city. She is active in the community and represents not only herself, but all of Russellville in the best possible light. She has gone out of her way to help other departments with their events on her own personal time. She has volunteered to promote the events and has even worked at some of them, again, on her own time. She is the right arm of the mayor and truly enjoys her work. She is the first impression of the city, and she makes a great and lasting impression on all who meet her. There are so many other aspects I could share, but I will leave you with this. If we could all be a little more like Julie Palladino and just think of the places we could go, the things we could achieve, and the happiness we could instill in our own little corner of the world.
Julie, you want to come up? It says Certificate of Achievement Exceeding Expectations awarded to Julie Palladino in recognition of your dedication, ability to inspire, team spirit, challenging the status quo, demonstrating care for people, and being a positive role model. Julie, congratulations. We're proud.
Good job.
All right, that will bring us down to our department report. This month is Russellville Police Department. I don't believe that's Chief Humphrey stepping up there. I believe that's Captain J.J. Smith. Short straw again, J.J.?
Short straw, yes, sir.
I'm sure you'll do fine.
So as you can tell, I'm not Chief Humphrey. He regrets he could not attend this evening, so you get to hear me talk for a little while. My name is Jared Smith. I'm a captain with the police department, and I take care of the patrol division for the department. I have a lot to cover, so I'll get started by telling you where we've been and where we are currently. In 2017, we hired 6 new officers. They all completed the field training program, and I'm happy to say that all 6 are still employed with us as of today, and we count that as a success. We currently have 2 officers in the field training program and 1 in the academy. We have 5 openings currently. We're looking to hire 4 officers at the start of 2019 and be fully staffed by the end of 2019. We can continue to be some of the best trained officers in the state. We have detectives who have completed advanced crime scene technician and basic crime scene technician in the past year. This is the same training that large agencies in our state receive, and we keep up with all of the latest technologies for crime scene processing. Our command staff has attended both state and national level conferences in the past year, and we continue to develop relationships with outside agencies to keep up with the latest trends in law enforcement. We continue to expand webinar type training for officers and shift change type brief training on a more frequent basis. We certified 3 new drug recognition experts over the last year who will be instrumental in the coming years as we face the challenges of impaired driving due to the opioid crisis and the coming medical marijuana implementation in our state. We've also had 3 officers attend crisis intervention training and 2 attend crisis negotiations training. We integrated the fire department and Pope County EMS in our active attacker response training, and just today finished taser refresher, CPR training, tactical emergency casualty care, and reality-based scenario training for most of the officers in our department. It's been a very busy year for our training section. With the support of the council and the Russellville School District, we added a school resource officer to the Russellville Middle School, and that position was fully funded by the school district. We have a strong partnership with the Russellville School District and look forward to continuing that relationship with them. Our SROs are engaging students with a proactive intervention approach and are also working with the district to ensure our schools are safe. We continue to coordinate numerous special events each month in collaboration with the other departments of the city and with affected Pope County agencies. Now for some basic stats. So for some of you in the audience, that may be an eye chart, and I apologize for that. This depicts 3 full years of data, and all of you have this in your packet there in front of you. These misdemeanor and felony arrest numbers are a total for both the patrol and detective divisions. The motor vehicle crash numbers are they're normal and relatively flat for the past 3 years. We've not seen very many ups and downs there. Our top 3 locations for crashes are Main and Knoxville, Parkway and Weir, and Owen, Arkansas. And our top causes are failure to yield and inattentive driving. We really wish people would put down the cell phone. It would really help. One other stat you don't see there is our use of force information. We've had 5 TASER deployments so far this year, compared to a total of 3 in 2017, and we have 5 in 2016. We've had 5 other uses of force in 2018 that were strikes or strength techniques to gain control of a person. Our use of force numbers are stable and consistent, and each use of force is reviewed for compliance with policy. What you see here is a typical week of incidents for our department, and this is just last week. There was a total of 620 incidents, and the top 10 are categorized here. Traffic stops are the largest portion of activity for us, and one reason for that is that we strive to keep another category you see here, motor vehicle crashes, to a minimum. The all other category consists of welfare checks, thefts, breaking or entering, burglary, parking violations, and various other calls for service. This next slide is our reported crime data. This is some of the major data that gets reported to the FBI National Incident-Based Reporting System. So these are crimes against person, property, and society. You'll see we had an increase in 2017, and then an increase in 2016, and then it decreased back down to a normal number for us in 2017. Our detective division clearance rates remain above the national average of 40%. In 2016, we were at 45% clearance rate, and in 2017, we were at 54% clearance rate. They are being very successful in the detective division. Stolen property from unlocked vehicles continues to be an issue. In 2017, 66 firearms were stolen in break-ins. Approximately 2/3 of those were from unlocked cars. In 2018 so far, we've had 32 firearms stolen during BREs, break-in or enterings, and 13 of those were from unlocked cars. I've got much more statistical data available. If anybody wants that information, you can contact me at the police department and I'll get that to you. I've got detailed data from 2010 to present. On the topic of property crime, beginning in early 2018, we joined with numerous other agencies around our state and nation in promoting the hashtag 9 p.m. routine. All of you should have a card in your seat. If y'all want to look at that now and go over it with me, I'd appreciate it. It would help us. The 9 p.m. routine is an effort to educate citizens of our community and get them to prevent property theft. We've used social media to promote this effort, and our officers carry these cards with them and give them to citizens during our contacts with them. It's really an easy concept. Sometime in the evening, at least by 9 p.m., we want everybody to go outside and look for anything suspicious in their neighborhood. Remove any guns, phones, wallets, or purses from your vehicle, and then lock the doors. If you have a garage door, close it, turn on an outside light as you go in. We have very few smash and grab type break-ins in the city. We have a very large number of break-ins where criminals simply go around through neighborhoods pulling car doors, and then they steal whatever they can find. We're asking for your help in preventing this type of property theft. It's your stuff. Protect it. Make it your 9 p.m. routine every day. So we've talked about where we're going, or we've talked about where we've been and where we are. Now I want to talk about where we're going. One goal for us in 2019 is for us to go to a 6-officer minimum staffing for a patrol shift. That number is currently 5. It's largely dependent on us being fully staffed. That 6-officer minimum will allow us to patrol more effectively. Another goal for us in 2019 is for us to implement an employee assistance program. We're all accustomed to dealing with an officer's physical injury during a confrontation, but workers' compensation does not cover mental health issues after critical incidents. And we have had several incidents in the past few years with officers developing problems that manifest themselves months and even years after the critical incident. This is something the military has learned to cope with in their PTSD assistance programs. We've been discussing this with our Human Resource Director as being a potential citywide program, but the need is present now in the police department. Our officers deal with stressful situations on a daily basis, and all of those situations add up. And when confronted with a shooting or other critical incident, they can reach a breaking point. The need is present, and it's not something we can ignore. On the technology front, we are working to complete deployment of a system that provides GPS location for each officer. And that will be given to both the dispatch center and the supervisors at the department. So that program is nearing completion. The Tyler Technologies New World Dispatch and Records Management System that we use is currently facing a necessary hardware and software upgrade. That's due to end of life on the server hardware system at Polk County 911, which we are a part of. We're married with them on that. We're working with Polk County 911 on a plan for that upgrade. You'll hear more about that in 2019. We're also starting to deploy mobile computers in our patrol cars. This will shift the officer into the field more instead of back and forth from the station for reporting purposes, and will lead to increased visibility and presence in the community. In your most recent budget packet that you received on Tuesday, and you have a copy of in front of you there, you'll find a new unfunded line item in the police department's budget. We're seeking to reestablish our K-9 program that we stopped utilizing many years ago. We're currently researching and developing best practices for K-9 deployment and are looking for the council and community's support in reestablishing this program. 2 recent large-scale investigations resulting in numerous arrests by our drug task force is just one indicator of the persistent drug problem that we have in our community. Utilizing a K-9 officer will be a force multiplier and another very effective tool in our tool belt to combat that problem. We also want to continue to expand and improve our targeted enforcement program. This is where we target known criminal activity, whether it be drug houses or property theft rings, all of which coexist together through the development of informants and other methods of intelligence gathering. Just one officer working part of his duty time over the last year has taken 4 firearms off the street possessed illegally. They made 4 arrests with stolen property recovered, seized approximately $60,000 worth of cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana, and seized numerous prescription pills and gathered crucial intelligence that led to suspects in other felony cases. By utilizing this more proactive approach, we can gather more intelligence on groups of criminals in our city and recover more stolen property and hold accountable those responsible for crime in our community. Here's my contact info. If you have any follow-up questions from the community, please email me at that address. I want to conclude by saying that you have one of the finest police departments in this state. We have traveled to various conferences or training sessions to hear of other agencies and the challenges they face at their departments. We simply don't have the number and type of issues that they have. The men and women of the Russellville Police Department live by our mission statement. We are committed to preserving, promoting, and securing a feeling of security and safety for all members of our community through the practice and delivery of lawful and professional law enforcement services. That sense of security and safety, combined with our data concerning the low crime rate that we have, is vital when a business is looking to develop in our community and expand and develop in our city. With your support, we can continue to be even better in our efforts to improve our community. With our continued hard work and dedication, you can rest easy, knowing that whether it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon or 2 a.m. in the morning while you sleep, a Russellville police officer is well prepared and stands ready in harm's way to make sure that you feel safe. Thank you for your time.
All right, anybody got any questions for Captain Smith?
Thank you.
Thanks, Captain. Thank you, all of you guys. Okay, on my list, we've got Personnel Committee first. Chairman Harris, do we have anything to tend to tonight?
I'm unaware of anything.
I don't think we've met, so.
Mr. Tripp may have had something he wanted to discuss.
Not yet.
All right. We'll move on to the Finance Committee. Chairman Brown, you've got some stuff for us.
Yes, sir. Got quite a few items tonight. Started with our meeting last Tuesday, discussion for bidding out our own fiber network for all locations, city locations. This was a total, we discussed it was for 1.25 inch tubing for $440,930. Now, I send that to the council in form of motion
Motion to do what?
to accept.
Was that the recommendation? That was not.
No. Discussion.
I see a lot of confusion, Mr. Chair. I think,
No, it says for discussion there, but
okay.
is there any discussion?
What I would prefer is to appoint yet another committee to talk about this in more detail in a more relaxed environment. There are some questions that I have about this proposal that we have in front of us that would be easier discussed in a committee setting than right here in this full council setting. And so, yes, I am making that motion to send this to a special committee.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion from Mr. Westcott and a second from Ms. Caruth to build a committee to further refine this discussion on fiber. All in favor, say aye.
Mayor,
Oop, oop, oop.
if we can, Mr. Westcott, what, do we have any setup of the committee? Is it, what committee or who?
It can be anybody on the council.
I would certainly prefer it to be as many of the council members as can be on it. And anyone from the community, of course, that would like to attend and have these absolutely open to the public for discussion, but to give us a more relaxed atmosphere to discuss some of these things at length.
Mayor, if possible, if Mr. Westcott doesn't object, I would like to see Captain Smith be part of that also, as he's done a lot of research and a lot of information, as well as our IT director. I think both of them need to be an integral part of it also.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll put down Captain Smith. You want to make that part of the motion, Mr. Westcott?
Sure.
Smith, Ms. Jackamore. Got a couple of council members that want to volunteer their time.
I do.
I do.
I believe I heard Mr. Westcott and Mr. Wiley. Mr. Tripp, you got time for this, or?
I think those two are more than capable of handling it.
Okay. Because nobody else will make that to committee, and all of this stuff will be published, so everybody's encouraged to attend. Is everybody clear on the motion in the second?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Let's look into that a little further. Mr. Westcott, if you want to holler at me, we'll schedule something time-wise.
Okay, on the second item of discussion for purchasing of the KRV radio building at Second and Boulder. I think that was it. We approved that to go forward there at $34,000 for 4 years, 5 years. Does anybody help me on that?
Did we ever decide?
We're for discussion, ma'am.
It's
For discussion, yes.
It was 170 divided by 5 years, whatever that works out to, 34.5 or something.
Did we ever discuss if we had an appraisal on this building?
We did.
Ms. Caruth, would you pull the mic up to you a little bit more?
I said, did we ever discuss if we had an appraisal on this building?
They had one that was done last year when they purchased it.
It's in your packet.
Yeah.
It's in my packet. Okay. It's in my packet.
And that money would come out of what fund?
It's in the finance, that's a finance adjustment.
Just let Jerry get back on the mic over there. We talked about it this week.
That's not an appraisal.
I think Mr. Sims had to leave.
I'm not against that.
Mr. McCormick, we've got a question. What fund do you recommend we take this out of?
For this, out of the general fund.
And where?
The rollover? Okay. We've got a little extra slack in the general fund, even after the 200,000 you guys socked away, so for 35,000, give or take. It's 34. It's 34, we'll just take it out of there. And, you know, as far as that part goes, he's more than happy to let us pay the first year, and then if we want to pay it off next year, he's pretty easy to work with.
But at this point, with our finances between now and the end of the year, we're comfortable with that 34,000,
Absolutely.
not causing a hiccup anywhere else?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is there any rush? I mean, could this be tabled one more month, just closer to the end of the year to get more firm numbers? Towards the, you know, that's what I've advocated all along, is wait until closer to the end of the year to know for sure where we're gonna end up.
Just like buying property, your own personal thing, they did notify us that if we're not gonna buy it, then they're gonna put it on the market. So, you can always take the risk that it won't sell or whatever. But,
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we buy this and we pay it out over a period of 5 years.
A second.
34,000 a year.
Yeah.
I would like, I have a question.
I do too.
And I have
Okay, in
a
our
question.
packet, we have a restricted use appraisal report. Mr. Straight, would you advise us on whether or not this is an actual property appraisal, or is this just a letter to the bank stating what the property, for example, this was something handed to us from an appraiser in Delonia, Arkansas, dated June 2nd, 2016. This looks more like a letter that you would give to a bank stating the property value so that you could secure a loan or something like that, but not really a real estate appraisal.
Somebody can show me a copy of it, I don't have
It's in your packet on
It's
page.
one page.
I believe that was the front page, or basically cover page.
And then they
It-
didn't copy the whole rest of the appraisal.
They didn't send the whole thing because that basically answered the questions that we had as far as the square footage. The questions that we had talked about the meeting before was square footage and the appraised value, and that should be answered on that page.
Okay, how do you
But
define a restricted use appraisal, Mr. Straight? Can you
Usually
define
when
it?
they do a restricted appraisal report, that's usually an appraisal report that costs you around $750. They do submit with it comparable sales. The only thing you can pay up to $1,500 or more where you get more detail, but for most commercial purposes, I'd say a restricted appraisal report is adequate.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Caruth, did you have a question?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
So do we have an immediate need for this property, or immediate use, something that we're needing it in a expedited timeframe?
No, not yet. I mean, we've kicked around several different ideas, but it's been a goal for a long time, and I think we've discussed this several times, that we'd like to own the entire block. And there's been plenty of good ideas kicked around that makes me think that long-term, or maybe even short-term, we could find a good use for it.
The only thing I've heard is it's connected to the building, and that's the reason we need it.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's all I've ever heard.
It's part of the block. I mean, we own everything except this one little piece of the block. We've talked about maybe giving IT part of it. They really need to, we need to be working on a plan to get them out of the police department for both departments' sake. Mr. Westcott, you had an idea not long ago of something to do in there, didn't you? You remember that? We were just talking before after a meeting. We've talked about our building services guys, moving them in there so that they're right here downtown where most of our buildings are.
Sure.
I mean, we've got plenty of ideas out there.
A lot of other uses for it.
I don't think IT needs the whole 3,500 square feet. But that would be, that'd be one of the things. We'd like to find them a permanent home.
They're out at the airport now, is that right?
The building services
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
yeah.
Has anyone walked through the building? I mean, is it going to be, and how much, I mean, what kind of repairs? I mean, how modern is the building? Is it dated, extremely dated?
Yeah, aesthetically, yes. A lot of dark paneling and stuff inside. There's one or two concrete block walls that divided, I think, north to south. It was actually originally built to have a second floor added on. And so the roof on it it wouldn't meet a FEMA designation for a safe room, but it's an incredibly strong built building. Mr. Noblet from E&F Roofing, he did the roof on that just a few years ago. So while he was doing the central fire station for us this year, he went over there and did a complete inspection, and he says the roof is in great condition. But as far as updates and stuff like that, you know, it's not really pretty right now, but
Is it usable right now, or is it something we would have to spend? You know, we're getting a lot of complaints, or I am, on the additional monies that we spent to move Public Works.
yeah,
Is it going to be anything like that? I guess is the way what I'm asking.
I don't see any way possible. I mean,
It's usable.
yeah, because it was in use until not long ago.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely usable. There's still a lot of old equipment and stuff like that in there that they would need to move out, and where you could really take a look at it. But it's a solid building, and
Did we get
So-
the answer on the radio tower and also the generator? Is that included in the building, or is it?
no, we did get a price on that. I think we discussed it, it's been a little while ago, an additional $25,000 for the tower and the generator. And I think the discussion, if I remember the direction of it, we just don't see, we don't see where it benefits us to have that.
So are they gonna remove that?
That's correct.
I wouldn't want it without the generator. I think that our offer to them should be that they leave the generator if we buy it.
Well,
What do we need the generator
Yeah.
for?
I'm sure we could negotiate on it, but if you drill a hole through the brick wall next to it, we've got a Generac sitting inside the old fire station. So we've already got a generator,
Okay.
plenty for our needs.
Well, I think the concern, I mean, we had these open-ending discussions about renovations and things like that, and, you know, we purchased the building for Public Works, and then we bought another building, then we've turned around and rebought the building with improvements, parking lots, fencing, all kinds of renovations inside. And I think that's where the council is a little bit gun-shy at this point, without any real numbers as to what it's gonna cost to renovate and upgrade, update. I'm fully in support of purchasing this, and I think IT department would benefit from it, but I think we need some hard numbers as to what the cost of renovation is gonna be.
Well, and I agree. Before we agree to put any certain department or person in this building, we would absolutely need to know the numbers to renovate it. I am in favor, however, of owning the building right now while we have an opportunity to purchase it at the appraised value.
Well, that's my point. We were in the process of owning the Public Works building, and now we've spent over $500,000 renovating it. I think the guesstimates were somewhere around 200,000.
Sure. And there's no sense of, do I understand it correctly, there's no sense of urgency of moving any certain person or department into this particular building? It could
Both,
sit vacant for months?
It can. The police chief and IT director both have, you know, they'd like to see some kind of a go-ahead plan, you know, to talk about getting her out of there, let PD have that space back, and, but it's urgency, I guess that depends on your definition of urgency.
My point is, I mean, we got the numbers within weeks after purchasing the current Public Works building. We got the numbers within weeks of paint, carpet, all those kind of things. And Kenneth, kudos to y'all, you did a great job on that. And then we got hit with a $383,000 purchase of parking lot paving and $73,000 for fence and all that kind of stuff. And my point is, if we have that, if we can get that kind of information that quickly, then why can't we have that information in front of us now before we actually go forward with purchasing this property?
So we haven't even defined who we're gonna put in there or what their needs would be or whatever. The property's available. If you're not ready to pull the trigger on it, we just need to let him know that, he's free to sell it to somebody else.
Motion, Mayor.
When we talked about, no, wait a minute. We were very clear, very upfront, very transparent when we bought the Public Works building, that we would start with the definite needs first, and that we could go at your option. You approved every bit of that expense.
I know I did. I'm regretting it too.
And it's a great building, and I think we got a deal on it.
Mayor,
If you guys aren't ready to pull the trigger, just say no.
Mayor, I believe we've got a motion in a second.
Who made the motion?
I did. Brown
Who made the
seconded.
second?
Brown.
We got a motion, Mr. Wiley, and a second, Mr.
Oh.
Brown. Is there any other
Or Westcott.
discussion? Sir? More? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
No.
I guess we need to call the roll.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
No.
Mr. Straight?
No.
Mr. Sims?
No.
Mr. Tripp?
No.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
No.
Motion fails. Item 3, Mr.
Mayor,
Chairman.
I'd like to, can I come back and make a motion to table that till next month?
Since it's failed.
Mr. Parliamentarian, how do you handle that when you've made a decision?
It's off the table now.
Okay,
It's
that's
been
fine. We can
finalized.
add it back next month, that's fine.
Mr. Chair, item 3.
Yes, sir. Consideration of resolution levying the millage tax on all properties in the city of Russellville, Arkansas for the year 2018, that's for fire and police pensions. This is for repealing resolution number 1650 to the finance department. I make a motion to send that to the council for vote.
Council, you heard the committee's motion, discussion.
Mayor, to be clear, the committee's motion recommendation was to keep them as is.
That's correct.
Okay, so no raises in
That's
the
correct.
city millage property tax,
That's
4.8.
correct.
but no raises.
No raises.
It's just, it
No
stays
raises.
the same rate.
That's correct.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
No, wait. So we're voting yes means
4.8.
we are gonna
4.8.
change it, or yes means no, we're not gonna change it?
0.48.
No, the motion from the committee was to leave it the same,
Okay.
what it was last year, .04 for police, .04.
It's .48.
.48, yeah.
Say it again.
.4 and .48.
Yeah.
The
Right.
increase, I went back and calculated what it would be, and it would be somewhere around $17,250 for the whole year. But I was asking for the pension.
So a yes vote is in fact a no vote for the resolution. Is that correct?
No, the
No.
yes vote is for the resolution
To leave,
As is.
as is.
to re-levy the tax at the rate it's been being,
Okay.
it was last year.
18 will be the same as 17.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Do we need to call the roll. I think it was just one no vote.
I think so.
Call the roll. The motion was from the committee.
Start with Brown.
Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
If it stays the same, yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
No.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
Item 3 is approved.
Item 4, consideration of health insurance for the city employees. We were given a handout, an option of it last week. Look at, item 4 in your sheet. Consideration, Jerry, you got,
The one we're putting in front of you would be option 1, leaving it exactly as it is, with the employees picking up their percentage of what you paid for this year.
in July.
So the percentage of what the city pays would stay the same?
Yes, both expenditures are the same, but we're not gonna pay what you all paid for the extra. They're
Excellent.
gonna pick their, because they were paying $45.50, it's gonna be $50.18.
Excellent.
They were
Okay.
paying $3.79, it'll be $392.30.
Okay, Mayor, I send that form of motion.
All right. Council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any other discussion?
Mayor, you had made mention about a health fund benefit, meeting fund benefit, something that you serve on. Was any of this
No
discussed?
change.
Or
Yeah, no change. Yeah. There's a time period where they can consider going back down. We haven't reached enough time, so it'll be the rates we've been talking about.
Question. So we did a survey of the employees. Is this the plan that lines up with what the majority of the surveys
Yes.
Yes, sir.
came in? Okay, thank you.
88% voted, 72% picked option 1.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4 is approved.
Yes. Item 5, appropriation, Department of Fire Pension Fund. That's a pass-through, $918,788.80. Send that to council in the form of motion.
All right. Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any questions or comments? In that case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 5 is approved.
Item number 6, appropriation from general fund. This is $16,000, and this is for the expense for the group insurance pass-through for the retirees' health insurance. Send that to the council in the form of a motion.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 6 is approved.
Item 7, appropriation from general fund, expense, other professional service. This is for the recording and broadcasting of the extra meetings. That's for $2,600. I'll send that in the form of a motion to the council for approval.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion. Any discussion?
Yes. How many meetings does this cover? How many extra meetings?
We think that will cover planning and
Council for the next
council meetings for the rest
3
of the year.
months.
Yeah, through the end of the year.
And so we've had to add this expense because,
We've started live broadcasting planning commission meetings.
Okay.
And we added a few of our,
special called.
special calls and stuff that we've done up
Okay.
here.
And this covers us through the end of the year, is that correct?
That's correct.
That's what we're thinking.
So
If we have something extra.
the budget numbers in this packet that we're going to be looking at in the next month or so is going to reflect an increase, I assume, of the extra meetings being broadcast?
I believe that's built in, yes, sir.
So you're saying planning commission meetings and all special call meetings are broadcast?
No, not all.
Not all special called, if it's
But all
just
the
a work
planning
group
commission
thing.
is.
You know, if it's one of those that we know is gonna have a lot of interest that we would do here, you know, the thing we tried to do, broadcasting one time from downstairs just didn't go very well. But basically, it's to broadcast the planning commission meetings.
So do we have any data, Mr. Hodges, on how many viewers we would receive on this kind of thing?
Well,
In general, we get about 75 views within the first week. I don't really monitor throughout the month, but within the first week, we get about 75.
can I say something?
Yeah, just a second. Just to make sure it gets on the record, the answer was about 75 views the first week, and we don't have data beyond that. Was that what you said? 'Cause I know that's not gonna record. Ms. Harris?
I love it because if a question comes up regarding something that the planning commission said, it's out there for you to go back and review. And that's vital to me because I like to go back and see who said what and how the voting went. So I like the fact that we're doing it. I wish we would do it almost on all of our meetings, but I know we don't. But the planning commission is most helpful if you're reviewing something. And some of our items lately have been very hot. So it's fun, it's interesting, not necessarily fun, to go back and be able to see those.
You're correct. Most of the hot button issues, or historically, most of them are zoning or planning related. So
It starts there, yes.
Well, and it's also a cost associated with our effort of being transparent and communicating with the citizens and with the public. You know, we want to do that, but that it has a price tag attached to it.
Any other comments? All in favor on item 7, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 7 is approved.
Item 8, appropriation from the capital funds. That's for $1,739, and that's for repair of the HVAC here. Put that in form of motion to council for approval.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion?
Did Brian find out any more information on that? He said he was gonna try to.
I haven't heard back yet.
You haven't
He's
heard?
digging. I do know he's made 2 or 3 contacts.
He's still working on it.
Yeah. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 8 is approved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, item 9, appropriation for aquatic center. This is the expense for the salaries part-time, lifeguards. This is in addition to what they had estimated there, is that right? Okay, send that form of motion to council for approval.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 9 is approved.
Item number 10, this is also aquatic center. This is an expense for utilities, and this is, it's over the projected budget. And, I believe the projected budget was 100,000, and it coming in at 134,000. So we're gonna need 34,000 additional. I put that in form of motion to the council for approval.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion?
A little bit,
Okay.
if you don't mind. Terry, I still notice if I'm late at night and stuff, and there's no one at the aquatic center, it is still lit up like a Christmas tree. Is there a reason that that building stays lit up so much at night?
Some of those lights stay on automatically. Some of them you can't turn off
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 10 is approved.
Item 11, appropriation. This is the insurance increase for the general departments here. This is for $34,734.50. Just for the insurance increase there, so I put that in form of motion to the council for approval.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion?
Again, I missed Tuesday's meeting last week. Is this part of the new increase that just took place, or is this the continuing of paying those people that?
No, this is the increase that took place this year, and this is what it cost us to pay for their side.
This is the new increase?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 11 is approved.
Item 12, appropriation district court fund. It's the salary budget adjustment for new hire.
This is on the special funds, it's not on the general.
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
This is on the special funds, it's not on,
From the
out of our
district
general.
court, it comes out of the district court special fund?
Yeah.
And send that to council for approval, motion.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 12 is approved.
Okay, going on into tonight and the new business. Appropriation for police department. $19,500. That's for additional costs for vehicle fuel. I put that in form of motion to council for approval.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 1 is approved.
Okay, number 2, consideration payment to Main Street, Russellville, per the 2018 contract finance department. It's $6,054.22. I put that in form of motion to the council for approval.
All right, council, you heard the committee's motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 2 is approved.
Number 3 is consideration for payment to the Boys and Girls Club for the 2018 contract, and that's for $17,000 for the final payment. I send that in form of motion to the council for approval.
Council, you heard the committee's motion. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 3 is approved.
Item 4 we talked about, and we're going to be setting up committees for that. Item 5, ordinance waiving bidding for the fire department exercise equipment. They have the money, which is $60,000, and I put that in form of motion for approval to the council
Okay.
to waive the bidding process.
Okay. According to our parliamentarian, this is to actually, we've approved doing this previously, but this is to actually do the ordinance. So we would need a motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend the reading requirement and read one time by title only with a short explanation.
Okay, you're suspending all 3 readings?
Correct.
All right. The motion is to suspend for all 3 readings, read by title only with a short explanation.
Second.
Okay. Second is Mr. Brown. All in favor of the motion to suspend, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Is there a no?
No.
I guess we better call the roll.
Yes.
The second was Mr. Brown, I believe.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
No.
All right. Mr. Smith, would you read, please?
Need a motion to adopt now. You don't want to.
To adopt?
You gonna read it first?
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding for the purchase and installation of exercise equipment for the new central fire station. Authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to sign all necessary documents for the said purchase and service and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would waive the bidding requirement that is imposed by state law based on the estimated cost to be in excess of over $20,000 for the new central fire station exercise equipment.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, motion to adopt for Mr. Westcott, and the second was Mr. Brown again?
No, Mr. Wiley.
Mr. Wiley, okay.
And what was the total amount on this again?
64,000. Jerry, do you remember the exact amount?
No.
Chief Sloan?
It was right around 62.
62,000.
It was all through a grant. All through a grant.
Through a grant and through your special funds, is that correct?
Yes, and that amount is not, that's just an estimate. We're gonna try to save, that would be a max. We're gonna try to save as much as we can. That's what we wanna do, is to sort of negotiate and pick the equipment that is the quality level that we need without some of the extra things. So that would be the most. Maybe there will be less.
I'm hoping it'll be a lot less.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm hoping it'll be a lot less. I know you, that was the excuse I was given when I was talking to him about the expenses on that, because he told me he had a grant. Y'all got a grant for it. But to me, I mean, that doesn't mean we have to spend the whole thing. I did a little research on it, and I thought the equipment was excessive in price, but that's okay. I mean,
Chief, I think we probably ought to get you on the microphone. This all needs to be on the minutes next month. Tap it and see if it's still open.
Ms. Caruth, and I know what you're referring to. I saw the email that you sent. The problem with that, if you look at the actual detail of the products on that, there were several compromises made as far as those were not the same manufacturers. And that's what we're trying to avoid, is that anytime we've talked and got a total list like that, the way that they get those prices down is by slipping in lesser manufacturers, lesser warranty, those type of things. And we're very familiar with that person and may very well end up buying some equipment from him, but we would need to buy specific equipment from him and not just a blanket list that he puts together, because that's where we're running into the compromise on quality. And that's why the price was a little bit
I
cheaper.
hope you do as well saving money on this as you did on the building, so that's fine.
I promise you that, I mean, we want to spend, it's in our interest to spend the very least that we possibly can. So we don't have money burning a hole in our pocket, you know that. We're trying to get the level of equipment that we need that'll be there for 20 years. We won't have a problem with it, 20 plus years. Won't have any problem with it, won't wear out, won't have warranty issues, and that's all we're looking for.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Ms. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
All right, item 5 is approved.
That comes to the conclusion for tonight, there, Mayor.
All right. That will carry us to old business 1. This is consideration of an ordinance and a public hearing, so we need to, this is due the public hearing, right?
That's correct.
All right. We'll declare the public hearing open for this request to vacate the east half of a 12-foot alley. Is anybody here to speak to old business 1? Going once, going twice. Hearing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, what's your thoughts on this ordinance?
Being an ordinance, you need a motion to.
Suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules, read first of 3 readings by title only with a short explanation.
Is your motion read the first time or this?
First time only. There's no sense of urgency to this, is there? That I'm aware of.
Would you step up to the mic? Give us your name for the record, even though everybody in town knows who you are.
Cynthia Walker, or Cindy. The reason we're wanting to close the alleyway, it's closed on both ends of it. It's on just a grassy area. There's no benefit to anyone except for us to have that closed in. And it's of no use to anyone else.
Okay, so back to urgency.
We need it to, we're wanting to close the street as well to provide parking for when they widen the Third Court Road, it took more and more of the parking driveway. So we're really limited the way that the house is constructed on the property and the road never made because it's just a dead end. So the end of the road is an alleyway. And that's what is on the docket tonight, is the alleyway. And I don't see any reason to put it off anymore or talk about it anymore. If anyone knows of any reason, I'd be happy to listen. But there's of no issue to it.
Just to speak to that, I don't know that, it's just because that's our rule, that on an ordinance you read 3 times, and so we're trying to get down to a consistent pattern of only waiving those rules.
I don't know anyone against it.
Okay.
No surrounding anybody.
Okay.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
We had I need to finish that, Don. Did we get a second?
We did. My motion is still the first of 3 readings.
First of 3, not suspending the other 2, and then who was the second?
Thought it was.
I didn't.
No, Mr. Wiley was questioning.
I didn't second, I just questioned.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Tripp is going to second that. Did you want to discuss before we vote on the motion to suspend?
Just to be clear, sometimes we'll dispense with the 3rd reading at the 2nd reading. That way it just gives a 30-day period just on that, to err on the side of caution. So it's potentially council sometimes will suspend the rules at the 2nd reading, which would be in November, and pass it then, potentially.
Okay, so you come back one more time then?
That's when it would potentially, could be, or it could run 3 months, but I'm just letting you know, sometimes the council will dispense with the 3rd reading and pass it at the 2nd reading.
Okay.
While we've got you up there, Ms. Walker, we were handed another one that we missed out of our packet. Is there a second request that tag
Yes.
teams with this?
Right, the street, the portion of Utah that
Okay.
connects to this little end of, I really thought that's what we were coming for tonight. I thought that alley was already done.
The alley's tonight.
And it's exactly the same. It's of no benefit. It goes to a dead end.
Okay. We'll take that one up. We'll have to add it as a late agenda item, but that's just to set the
Thank you.
hearing for next month. Okay. All right, council, I apologize. So we have a motion and a second to suspend for the first reading only. You want to call the rolls on the motion to suspend?
Yes, sir. Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, just before you get started, Mr. Smith, I want to be sure everybody understands what we did was dispense with the reading requirement, so we don't have to have everybody listen to us take turns reading, what is that, a 5-page legal document, so this is just for the first reading.
An ordinance vacating and abandoning the east half of a 12-foot alley between lots 4 through 9, block 19, Madison White addition to the city of Russell, Pope County, Arkansas, and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would vacate the aforementioned description in the aforementioned addition.
Okay, and we'll read the second time, put that on old business for next month. Item 2, old business, this is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to enter an agreement with Blackstone. This is for the construction manager project. You should have all gotten a copy of that some days ago.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, Mr. Westcott. The second was Mr. who?
Brown.
Mr. Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 2 is approved. If you want to holler at me in the next couple of days, we'll get that done. New business 1, this is considering an ordinance recommended by the Animal Control Department regarding containment of dogs and electric fences.
Make a motion, we suspend the rules by title only with a short explanation for the first and all 3 readings tonight.
Okay,
Second.
So we got a motion and a second was Mr. Westcott to suspend the reading requirement for all 3 readings so we can move on with this. All in favor of the motion, well, call the roll. Motion to suspend.
Okay, who was the second, please?
Second was Mr. Westcott.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Passed.
Okay, Mr. Smith.
An ordinance amending the Russell Animal Control Code for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, which is found at ordinance number 1671, and for other purposes. This ordinance passed would add an amendment to the current Russellville Animal Control Code and by add a new section titled number 3 restraints would be found at 3-1-5, which would elaborate on the containment of dogs and electric invisible fences.
Motion to adopt with the emergency clause.
Yes, with the
Do
emergency
we have
clause.
to do them separate?
You do because
We'll have to
of
do
a
them separate.
different, it's a different
First
standard.
to adopt then.
Okay, so
Second.
we got a motion, Mr. Wiley, to adopt, second, Mr. Westcott. Any other discussion?
Well, I'm totally for this. However, I don't know if the public understands this. So could Mr. Vernon tell people how this is going to affect them and how they take care of their dogs and what they can and can't do?
This basically just puts it in the chaining of animals from the city of Russellville.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
Well, I mean, not chain up an animal within the city of Russellville upon passage of this. They have to be kept in a pen, a enclosure, or a fenced-in yard, or within the house, or with an invisible or electric fence.
In other words, they can't be chained up to a tree.
Correct.
Good job.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just wanted the public to hear it, so they know, okay?
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Wiley?
Yes.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes.
Ms. Caruth?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Straight?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Passed.
All right, now, Mr. Westcott.
Motion to approve the emergency clause.
Second.
Got a motion, Mr. Westcott, and a second, Mr. Wiley, on the emergency clause. I believe we probably can do that by a voice vote.
Yeah.
All in favor of adopting the emergency clause, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Emergency clause is enacted. Item 2, this was a discussion we had earlier about the waste hauling contract. The vote was to create a committee of council members, Mr. Westcott, Mr. Wiley, Mrs. Harris, Mrs. Caruth, and whoever they feel appropriate to drag in, and let's start reviewing that. Does anybody else want to comment on that? We'll get a meeting of that committee set up post haste. Item 3, a personnel matter. Mr. Tripp, you had a thought earlier on how you wanted to handle that.
Yeah, Mayor, for now, I'd like to table that to the next meeting, please.
Okay. On the council agenda.
Yes.
All right. Table to November. Item 4, consideration of the RDOT conversion. That is by ordinance. We could do one reading. Either way, however you want to do it, the district engineer for RDOT has agreed to come over whenever we're ready for him to and explain the merits of that and why it was set up the way it was.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this to a special called meeting, but I'd like to table this with discussion.
Yes.
Discussion tonight?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion to table to a special called meeting that we'll set up.
For the purpose of the district engineer.
Yeah, but with discussion tonight.
Yes. Just for a brief explanation.
Second? Anybody?
Second?
We have a second, Ms. Harris. All in favor of the motion to table but have discussion tonight, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
All right. I believe it passed the motion. We will set and find a date that works for the district engineer and for the council, and we'll set up a special meeting on that. Mr. Tripp, you wanted to discuss?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So, as we all know, this dates back many, many years.
1979.
Many, many years. There's been, the highway departments looked at it, the cities looked at it in the 80s and the 90s and in the 2000s. We had the rain event, August 15th of 2017, that created a flood within the city of Russellville on a school morning. Arkansas Tech came on board, we came on board to look at this project. Highway Department came on board. The whole intention has been to alleviate the long-standing drainage issue in that area. We did a resolution in March of this year as our intent to partner with Arkansas Tech and the Highway Department. And I look forward to our discussion with the district engineer for the specifics of this.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mr. Sims.
I'm fully aware of the drainage issue on that. We were all in agreement that we needed to address that and be a good neighbor in that situation and partner with them, even though I don't understand how when the highway department makes a highway taller or higher than the parking lot there at Whataburger and Arkansas Tech concretes in a creek and doesn't make it large enough to hold the water, how that actually became the city's problem. However, in the interest of being a good neighbor, I'm willing to listen to what they have to say and all that. What I do not understand is how Highway 326, which is from West Main all the way to Atwoods, almost 8 miles, I'm told, of highway, which is the entire Marina Road, Marina Way, and Skyline, was ever put on the table as being a swap for our portion of what we owed in the drainage project. I am all for correcting the drainage at the intersection of Highway 7 and O Street. How did this ever get on the table to where we would take over the state highways maintenance of 326?
that is a goal of RDOT statewide. It's not just for this one instance. Their goal is to shed inventory for right-of-way that they have that is within city limits. It's been discussed before, lots of times, but the long and the short of it is, that was RDOT's recommendation to get this approved. But I think you'd understand it probably could be explained much better by the district engineer, and he's been gracious enough to offer to come and do a little class on that.
Well, my constituents in Ward 1, this goes entirely through Ward 1 and then over into Ward 2. And I can assure you from the survey I've done, there is no one, except for one person who has called me to express that they think that this is a smart thing for the city to do. Case in point, when we have the first report of snow, the barriers at the bottom of Skyline at the intersection of Joplin, Skyline, and West Main come out because we do not have snow removal equipment to handle Skyline Drive. The same thing happens at the bottom of Hilltop and Marina Road. And so there is an extreme concern by the constituents in Ward 1 as to what the city has planned for snow removal and taking care of that part of town. And that, I will point out, is the, with the exceptions of some of the hills around above Deer Run, and that is the hilliest portion of Russellville. It is uphill from Atwoods to past Glenwood. It is uphill from the state park all the way to Hilltop, and you've got the choppy hills at Damascus. I've also visited with our public works director, and the public works has 2 snow plows. We have 1 sand spreader. We will be appropriating funds to have to increase that equipment. Plus, we would be considering making sure that they are aware that they would have to be out at early hours to be able to handle this. I can also show you between my street and West Main 2 places where the water goes across that highway. While it was recently repaved, we also have some large construction projects ongoing on that, which concrete trucks and heavy equipment will be damaging the surface that was replaced in 2016. Yet to get a number on what this resurfacing and all that would cost. I do understand that the developers are supposed to put up a bond, but as I pointed out in the start of this discussion, I have no problem with us partnering with Arkansas Tech and the Highway Department on this, but I see no reason why we are being intimidated by the Arkansas Department of Transportation, because the only call that I have received from anyone in my ward considering this issue and encouraging me to vote for it, it works for the Highway Department, but yet I had to ask him twice before he admitted that. Thank you.
Am I next?
Ms. Harris?
Well, we got the letter that was a copy of the letter that was sent to you, and on the back of it was the minute order from the Arkansas Highway Department, where they talked about the city had expressed an interest in partnering to do these things, and the city has agreed to accept the ownership of this highway. And furthermore, down at the bottom, it was an official statement saying upon completion of the intersection over here on 7, that this highway would become deleted from their records and become the properties of Russellville. They state there that it was Highway 326, Section 1. I knew that I had not been to a meeting where this had ever been discussed, I thought. I know I hadn't on this. So I received a letter back from the city attorney which told me to check it out because I had voted on this back in 2013. Well, I went on the website and I did find where I voted on the state highway and a partnership that we had with them on Highway 124. However, the map attached to that showed that we were accepting a portion of Weir Road And it also says that this is section number 2. So when I looked at both maps, I saw that section 2 I had voted on. However, we've never voted on ever. I can't find anything, and I say ever with emphasis, however, it may be there and I didn't see it. But I don't think the city has ever told Arkansas Department of Transportation that we would take over that road in lieu of completing 124 highway, and that disturbs me. So I think of probably a public meeting with them is definitely in order before we make any decisions on doing this. Now, today, there's rumors that if we don't do this, they're not going to complete the other project. It's also rumored to me today that we had offered to go back and pay our portion, and they're not interested in that. It's like they're saying, you take this highway, or we're not going to do the other. And I think we definitely need to have a meeting with those people.
And Mr. Mayor, that would not be a rumor. That was actually intimidation by the person who called me at my home who finally identified himself as Arkansas Department of Transportation.
So I guess, did somebody make a motion to table this after discussion?
I believe we did.
Okay.
But any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion to table until we can set up a special called meeting.
Is that gonna be soon?
Excuse me?
Soon?
Very. All in favor?
Next week?
We've already voted on the motion to table with discussion.
Next week?
Yes.
All right then. Where does that leave us? We have this resolution that was left out of the packets. I think to keep things proper, we should make that a late agenda item. If somebody wants to make a motion.
Motion to accept the late agenda item.
Second.
That
Or
was
motion to discuss it,
Mr. Tripp,
rather.
second,
Motion me.
Motion, Mr. Westcott, second, Mr. Tripp.
Right here, resolution.
All right, all in favor of the motion to accept the late agenda item, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
There it is.
Sounds like that carries. Okay, so this resolution is setting a public hearing as similar to what we did earlier tonight. It would be set for the date of our November council meeting.
Motion.
I believe that was a motion, Mr. Westcott.
Second.
Second, Mr. Brown. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe that concludes our agenda for tonight.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.